what's your insight about inflation in general and how it affects Nigerians in general?
The middle class is totally wiped out in Nigeria right now.
In Nigeria, you could see somebody that hasn't had a meal in days and see somebody driving a Lamborghini in the same area, and you're just like, that's just the way it is. It's like rich, poor.
I don't believe it's Nigerians. I just believe it's a system. We don't have a functional system.
You don't know how they are daily feeding. You don't know their day-to-day activities and everything.
Experiences.
Because if I can't feed myself, I sure can't feed a family.
Look at the younger generations, the kind of choices they make. I'm literally scared.
There's hope. A man without hope is a dead man. The question is, how bad are you drowning?
Hello guys, welcome back to the show. Today we have a very special guest here all the way from Nigeria. He's somewhat of an icon when it comes to business, and he's all around the world. Like he's been there almost everywhere, might I say. And so today we'll be picking his brain a little bit about inflation in general and how it affects business operations in Nigeria. So meet our guest here, Mr. Patrick, all the way from Nigeria. I'm sorry, today's topic is a little bit focused on Nigeria. So bear with us if you're watching this from anywhere else in the world. And so, Patrick, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul.
So in general, what's your insight about the inflation in general and how it affects the Nigerians in general?
It's been pretty crazy ever since, Yoruba used to have this song they used to sing back there. They say, if you understand Yoruba.
Yeah.
That's way back, So, and that was, if they are telling you that the country is tough, it literally means the country is tough, there's no money out there. That's way back 1970 something. So you can picture, if you're still singing the same song right now, I just picture what inflation looks like back home, So it's all-time high right now. Of course, while personally, I don't want to delve into politics, I'm trying to be careful, but the current president is, in my own opinion, he's steering the country in the right direction, So long time, taking decisions that are long time, So it's like steering a ship. It takes a while to steer that ship around, But in a long time, everybody gets to get it. But the impact in fact, right now, it's so bad. We're at the point where you see that you're down there or you're up there. So the middle class is totally wiped out in Nigeria now. Yeah, I can tell you that. The middle class is totally wiped out, So an average middle class, many of us started as picked up a job, work in the corporate world. You're able to save your first 2 years, you buy your first car, you're planning towards your marriage, until you evolve and grow in the corporate world into going into business proper. But right now, can you literally save to buy a car? I called a friend of mine, I'm like, bro, I will join banking. We did the first 2 years, we're saving our money and buying our first car. But everything has changed right now. So it's all-time high, I can confirm that to you. And it cuts across, businesses, relationships, everything is expensive back home right now.
So inflation is at an all-time high, and it just doesn't impact, like you said, business. It impacts pretty much every area of your life, right? All areas of your life. When people are not doing well, you can't spend, right? If you don't have, you can't spend. And then that also, in a way, impacts relationship, where as men, we are the pursuers. We pursue women. So if I'm struggling, it means I'm not dating. Because if I can't feed myself, I sure can't feed a family, right? So, because men, relationship to us, it's fun, but on the back end, when you think about it subconsciously, it's always looking for a partner or a family. That's always the driving force. So if you're struggling financially, you can't really hang out with friends. You can't go out and and go grab drinks and buy with your friends. You can't go out on dates. And everywhere you go or everywhere you turn, you see people struggling, saying, Nigeria, life is hard. And you're right. Life is hard. It's been hard for so long. And I remember being a kid and it was great. And as I got older, things got worse, progressively
Yeah.
worse, and you're like, okay,
And sign up for adulthood.
yeah, and then it's
We all signed up for it.
yeah, it's like, I mean, we didn't have a choice.
Yeah,
we were
yeah,
born there, right?
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
it's like, and it's a scary thing because we are based here in the U.S. and we're beginning to see a similar shift where the upper class, the rich, wealthy, whatever you want to call it, it's growing,
Yeah, the distance,
right?
the gap is growing.
The gap between wealthy and I don't even think we've lost upper middle class. So everybody's just middle class, really. And then you have poor people, and the middle class is shrinking
Yeah.
a lot faster than we've ever seen here in the US. So now you're wondering, is this where, are we just, a decade or two behind Nigeria? Because how long what needs to happen before,
Right.
the whole middle class shrinks? And for me, that's a scary thought when you're thinking about just life. You're like, wow, I mean, my dollar's not, it's not going far anymore. So,
Right.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and also your experience from controlling businesses in Nigeria. The thing is, one may argue that inflation is everywhere. Right now in the U.S., we're experiencing it, but we outwardly to people around the world, it's like we're not experiencing. So there's something that is being done here that's not done in most parts of the world. Let's not just point a finger at Nigeria, but how it is felt is different. It can be the same. Some people will argue, but what we see, what we hear, because we have families back home, is like the world is about to end. So, I understand that you said the present Nigeria is steering the ship in the right direction, but it takes time to see the results. Although that is arguable.
I was going to say something, but you said it already.
That is arguable. I'm gonna just say it like that because I don't think these were people who were there, who enjoyed the country and have made it worse for other people. I remember when I was having a conversation with my father. He said that once upon a time when they would go to school, so there was times where in Nigeria boarding school was the system. Not generally, but there was a time in our father's era where people went to boarding school. And when you go to boarding school, you're catered for. You were even sent home with all transportation, everything taken care of. That's the school taking care of that. So there were times then, and if you look at the ages of our fathers now, they enjoyed those times, but they are responsible. I'm talking about the age group for making it what it is now. Terrible for other people. The path, I don't see that path it getting better from my experience, because it has always been that the president is worse today. We will be next. We'll be begging for the worst president of today to come back tomorrow. So it gets worse every time. And well, I'll get back to you. So I have other questions because you're a strong man, and I'll tell you that. For you to be able to own and organize and run a business there are many questions I have to ask. I would say you're a strong man, but I'll let you say what you want to say before.
Okay,
you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was before you. Let me just ask. So, from this question may not apply. It's not really a question where it may not apply to you because you've jackpot a long time ago. So, from experience, these are lifetime because from what I've experienced, it's almost like we're having the same circle of leaders leading Nigeria right from when I was born. Or right from when I could actually, think for myself and know what's going on around me. being aware. So, has there been, from your experience, has there been any regime? Not that we are delving into politics right now, but has there been any time when it occurred to you that, oh, this country is actually going towards the right direction? This leader is actually doing something, apart from the present.
Okay. Apart from the present era,
Yeah.
so I should include the present era. I should take it off.
Yeah. Because
So for me,
we give your opinion as that's
yeah. The thing is, a disclaimer out there. I'm not in any way affiliated to the government. You understand?
Right.
Zero relationship with anybody up there. When I mean zero, zero, I literally, even because of my business operations, I like to trade clean. I stay away from even when the part of my business is that's I've had opportunities to do business with politics, guys in politics, and I run away from it. I shy away from it. I don't want that stain on my name and all that. You understand? Because I chose to do business right and all that. Because I understand how it is. Politics in Africa generally, we all know how it is. When power changes, everything changes. You understand? These parties now in power, they're going after this one.
Yeah.
So it's easy for anyone to come after you. Now, so following that, I'll say something. Let me just react to what Ono said. Okay, let me just put this out there. This is me talking as a businessman back home in Nigeria.
Right.
I'm not talking as a regular man on the streets.
Right.
Do you understand? If you are very vested in the country, you've invested, you have assets, you have businesses, business operations and all that. What's more important to you? You understand? Stability of that country. That's key. I'm not saying it's not perfect out there, don't get me wrong. But stability is key for you. You want to be sure that this country is stable, you understand, to protect your assets and your investments back home. If you look at the three key performance indices of the current president, you understand, look at unification of the dollar exchange rates.
Okay.
That's one. Two is subsidy removal. And the third one is the current tax reform is bringing up. Those are the three major things. And that's what's called the major points. I grew up in sales. In the corporate world, I did sales in pharmaceuticals, sales in telecom, sales in banking before I left into business. As a salesman, you look at figures, forget sentiments.
Yeah.
If you stand before me, what have you sold? Show me your numbers, that's what matters. Those days when we present our bosses and all that, it's your numbers that matters. Right. But they can even come, no matter how full the room is. When you just come, see your figures, you don't need to present, just go and sleep. One of us will clap for you. Your numbers, that's sales for you. And that's how I see life generally. If you look at this man, what are the key performance indices and all that? He has scored those points. I don't like him. I don't like him. It's like a question of you liking him and all that, you understand? Has he given you numbers? Has he performed? And I had this argument with my friends. I have a few friends over in my house way before he came in, And I'm like, come, don't get me wrong. Don't think I'm supporting all for this man and all that, you understand? As far as I'm concerned, we all know how it is back home and all that, you understand? But the truth is, as a businessman, who will move the country from point A to point B forward? Are you following me? That's key.
Okay. And you being an insider, you actually see.
That's key. That's key to me. See, you can. That's what I'm saying. The World Bank is approved of its policies. IMF has approved of its policies. You're not foolish. So these are renowned bodies, you understand? Renowned bodies, they've said, oh, this one is doing something right and all that, you understand? I tell people, I say, leave your sentiment aside, you understand? When we all know how it is, we've been saying leaders upon leaders upon leaders upon leaders, you understand? And all that, So that's me talking as a businessman, you understand? So I say, oh, is it because, hey, you're up there, you don't feel the pain, you're up there, you don't, and all that. Yeah, of course, I've felt pain in the past, you understand? I'm still feeling the pain, even at that level. See, what you should know about the world of businesses, I told a friend of his, I said, the more you do business back home in Nigeria, the more you respect people up there that are successful businessmen. I can literally sit down, go there and lie down and say, climb on top of my head and pass. Because there's more respect. Do you understand? The bigger you get, the bigger the challenges, So inflation has increased. You must review staff salaries. You must do it. It's not a question of if that you lose your staff.
Yeah. So
Yeah. You must review staff salaries, cost of operation is going up, you are repricing, and all that to ensure you keep up. Those are also challenges on our part.
Right.
It's hitting your bottom line. I'm not going to stand here and say it's not hitting my bottom line. You understand? Customers are not just going to embrace your new prices like that. You understand? They'll fight back. It might take some months before they pick up again and say, okay, let's just embrace this price and all that. That's going to impact your bottom line for the first 2 to 3 months after you review prices, and all that. So there's the realities for businessmen as well.
Okay, so I heard you well, and my comment or statement wasn't coming from a place of sentiment.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I like to have meaningful discussions with
Yeah.
people all over the world that are involved in business,
Yeah.
Nigeria included. So that's my cousin right there. We were born to never have seen my dad walk before. So I'm a family. We're from families of business people and businessmen, and even till when I came to the United States, he had businesses. So when I referred to him, he was we were talking on a business level too as well. So when I referred to him, when I said that, it wasn't coming from anywhere, any sentimental place. So why I said arguably, or that what your analysis, although I don't have all the data, and data is key. So you've broken down the data, you've broken down the news, the World Bank, IMF, everybody praising him. Maybe I'm not just interested in that news that I've not seen that, and we'll be able to, after now, confirm all of that. That's fine. But let's not go deep into politics. But I just wanted to clarify that wasn't from the place of sentiment.
I get it.
You can always give people their flowers when they're doing what is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But you've made it clear to us that these are some places we're missing, that he's doing some good work as a business person. And that's why you're here today.
Yeah.
So you can clarify, right? Because we can have all these notions, about what's going on. But someone who is not there in the ground with the legs on the ground there, doing the work of operating businesses, making business successful, we can read so much. Even if I read IMF said that, there are some certain things you can come here and clarify that this is how it is, and we appreciate that. But just to clarify, it wasn't coming from a place of sentiment. It was coming from people who are also business people that have complained. Because I know people who are trying to sell off everything and move.
I agree with you.
So that's the thing. So everybody has different experiences, and that's good. And that's why you're here. Explain to us. Let's see what's going on, really.
Honest, let me just
Because
correct
you're
what
on
you
the
said.
ground, yeah.
Let me just correct you. You nailed it. Are there times in business you feel like, I just want to sell off and move?
Right.
See, running business in Nigeria is like this. It's as if everybody out there wants to stab you at the back.
Right.
It's as if you have to be looking at your back. Who's the next person
Right.
coming? Do you understand? So that's
sounds
what I said. I ended by saying that if you see people that are successful in business back home, you won't lie down like,
Right.
are you going through the same thing I'm going through? And you still keep going and going. Got this big,
I
and you're
said
still
you're a
going.
strong man. Like
Yeah.
that's what I said. I can't
It
run
is-
a
it is
business
tough.
where I have to be like
Yeah.
I'm in the lion's den
No,
all
it
the
is tough.
time.
Yeah, it
There's
is.
no break.
No,
You
it's-
don't catch any break. So
No.
that's it. That's what I'm saying.
It is tough. So I understand you from that perspective. I agree with you perfectly. You understand? It's easy. There's no how. Till date still comes. At times you're like, let me just sell off. Let me just sell off and go to a more stable, because it's gone beyond you just at a point. It's all about money. You understand? At a point, you just want a peace of mind. You
Right.
understand? Let me know this is what is in a stable working system. This is what is coming in.
Right.
And I program about this what is coming in and all that. But not you waking up to a different thing every day. I used to tell my friend, I'll be on the call and I'm like, oh, this is me going to my business, it's going to the office. Watch how my mood will change. And then I'm getting there, I just go from 0 to 100 and I'm shouting. I didn't plan to shout, And what I'm saying is, literally scaring me. Then it's not like church to my businesses. Somebody's doing that. Why? Why would you do this? Those are the challenges.
So that brings me to this question now. Like I said, we're not delving into politics, but if you look at the current state of the world now, because from what you've said, what I can deduct from what you've said so far is like it's a trickle-down economy where rich or the top businessmen do business, then the thing kind of trickles down until it gets to the lower class. Now, how would you say that affects the small mom and pops businesses?
That's a very good question. That's because I have special interest for these SME business owners back home. You understand? And that stems from my days in banking. Where I manage SME businesses. So I see their pains, I see their numbers, I see their pokes, I see their struggles. So I see everything that has to do with SME businesses. Yeah, of course it's a lot. It's a lot for them. See, right now, I think the impact of this inflation is, of course, is impacting the SME business owners more. You know, the large corporate, you can do 1 or 2 deals and you've made a big money for yourself. And I can probably cover your rent and all that. But SMEs, where you're gathering the little and you're just putting together tiny numbers. By the time you put it together, a landlord is coming and saying it's increasing rent. Because virtually every landlord is increasing rent back home in Nigeria right now. I'm talking about tripling rent, doubling rent. You know, people are like, oh, you pay this is not my fee and all that. And so it's like, it's a national anthem back home right now. You know, everybody. So your personal rent, your business space, your rent, and all that. And that leads to somewhere very interesting I would love to touch here. Somewhere super interesting. Who and who is being defined? Who and who belong to that class of SME business owners back home? Currently, I see a huge explosion in that space. And I'll tell you why. A huge explosion because a whole lot of young fellows back home now come out from school and doing business. You know, I have a problem with that, you know. And when I have a chance to talk to them and I'm like, okay, you're doing business, okay, fantastic, you want to make money, fantastic, what do you sell? You know, what do you sell to? So I tell you, I run my own business, I run my realtor business, I'm selling houses to houses worth 300 million, 400 million back home. You're selling properties worth 400 million back home. I say, okay, so let's check your contact base. Put this on your status, who are always checking it? You know, do you even have that social capital to push that kind of business? You know, it boils down to one thing. Are you prepared enough to venture into that business? It takes a lot to run business. You know, critical thinking skills, customer management skills, customer handling skills, listening skills, communication skills, problem solving skills. These are the things, these are what it takes to run businesses, you know. But if you have not worked, what I always say is go and work in the corporate world. I always tell people the first,
spot on.
That thing. I tell them the first 1 to 3 years, at least minimum, I say minimum 3 years, you will pick on the skills, you will learn them, you know. But not you come out, I see them struggle a lot, you know. And if you're well trained, if you work in corporate world and you're well trained, I don't need to talk to you more than 2 minutes. I've seen the flaws in your business. I've seen how trained you are. I've seen your level you are in. You know, just merely talking to you, just hey, hello, hi, what do you do, and all that. So when just one little challenge, you see them run up and down, and they make more errors, damaging their brand, killing. I say, many of you kill your brand before you even start. You literally kill your brand before you start. You know, you come out as a business owners. Of course, in the world of sales, so there's sales and there's perception and there's reality. You come out, you're pushing the perception of your business. You go on Instagram, hey, I sell this. Make believe videos, I sell this, and then I make contact with that business, which is the reality point.
Yes.
And nobody's picking calls.
Yeah, I will try to.
You know,
I ain't even going through.
So those are challenges, you know. But they don't see all these problems. They don't know, you know. But if you've gone through, if you work in the corporate world, you understand some of these things. You will know why you don't have to make noise. You have to be ready back home before you start making some noise, because you're killing your brand.
Right.
You know, I say you literally kill your own brand. You came out and make noise. All of us should come and patronize you. And we are calling nobody's picking call. We approach your store, the stock is not there. And tomorrow I'm telling my brother, don't go there, he doesn't have. And tomorrow he start complaining, oh, I see them cry a lot, you understand? I was talking to somebody back home and she was arguing. You know, of course the new Gen Z generation back home, everybody is doing business. They're extremely highly opinionated than many of us, you understand? They are strong-willed. They believe they know more than you and I. What a friend of mine said, just allow them, let the experience teach them. That's the only thing that literally can teach them. They delve into business. After I spoke to somebody, I said, this thing you're selling, I said, I'm not cursing you. Another 5 years, 10 years, you're not touching 5 billion turnover. You're just going to be running in circles.
Yeah.
You know, and all that. So that's that.
Yes.
Okay, so you said some things, and maybe you won't dive deep into this topic, but it's something that just popped in my head right now. Inflation is at all-time high in Nigeria, right? And we're talking about businesses, when people can afford to survive. You know, first, right? Survival. We have to survive. When people are struggling with that, as a business owner, you feel that, because depending on what you're selling, what your services are, what you're selling, right? If you're struggling, for example, let's say cars. People are not buying cars if they can't feed their family. That's just, right? That's simple. But then there's the business part of it. There's people not dating because people are struggling. But I think there's a part of this that I'd like us to touch on a little bit from, everyone is the mental suffering people go through when inflation is that high, right? Because if I go back to Nigeria now, I'm going with something. May not be a lot, but my pocket, I know I'm going to have 3 square meals when I get to Nigeria. I'll be able to do a few things, maybe not all the things, because in Nigeria, you could see somebody that hasn't had a meal in days and see somebody driving a Lamborghini in the same area, and you're just like, that's just the way it is. It's like rich, poor,
No in between.
Yeah, no in between, right? So how is that? I mean, you've been home, you as well. How is the mental state of the nation as is? What's the, mental health state of the nation when inflation is through the roof?
Well, sorry for you. That question, it's kind of whatever answer we give will be kind of based on our environment.
Correct. Because I'm
Now,
comparing
not
it to
looking at
here.
It's a general picture.
I'm looking at the U.S.
Okay.
We've seen a spike
Yeah.
in mental health, and a lot of it's because people are struggling now. Like the job market sucks.
Yeah.
Comparing the job market here and the inflation here, for us, we're like, oh my God, gas is now $5 per gallon. Oh, I'm gonna have to cycle to work. People are losing their minds. But can we even compare the inflation we're dealing with here to the inflation people are dealing with in Nigeria? Knowing that there's such a huge disparity between the rich and the poor, and there's no middle class. It's like everybody else is just, if you're not rich, you're just drowning. The question is, how bad are you drowning?
I'd say it's subjective because depending on your financial situation, you can speak for yourself and people you see around you. Now, like Odogu here now, let's say he lives in VI now. Mm-hmm. He's surrounded by mansions with his own mansion and everything. I don't think he sees the cries of the common man. You understand? That's what I think.
That's a good point. But let me react to what you said.
Yeah.
Now, Nigeria is a highly religious country.
Yeah.
Highly religious. And I'm going to touch on why. And the impact on mental health may not be high, in my opinion, may not be that much, and I'll tell you why. I already say this among my guys when I talk to them. I'm like, there's only one thing holding down the country in terms of the peace and all that is how religious we are. Mm-hmm. People go to church, you go to church, you hear messages of miracles coming.
Yeah.
You're holding on to God and all that. That is calming people down. I said, if you tell the top churches, tell the boy, the big, the redeemed, the deeper life.
It's off already, so you a little bit louder so you can pick it up.
So if you tell the big churches, I say if you tell them to just shut down and don't preach the gospel for 2 years, then you will see the real deal. You see what exactly the true position of things. So you can't rule out the fact that the messages of hope that people get from religious homes, it's gonna get better. You understand? It's big. You come, you are praying, you're believing God for your next miracle and all that. So that's for me. That's one huge impact. You understand? Literally helping us in terms of, how far mental health will have escalated back home. In my opinion, that's my take. But let's not forget one thing: Nigeria is a highly populous country. I always say this: if you're fit, you have your 2 hands, you have your 2 legs. That's something to do. Are you following me? There's something. See. We all complain, things are tough. There's an influx of Togolese, Cotonou guys coming to take over jobs, taking over POP jobs, taking over a lot of, basic, you understand? All these, menial jobs from Nigerians. What does that tell you? And these guys they are coming and they are cashing out. So I'll tell you, I always say this, except you're lazy. The population of Nigeria is an advantage to that country, to the populace, anytime, any day. You understand? You can come out and start washing cars and all that. You will make your money.
Right.
Do not forget, inflation. Nigeria is a rich country. There's money in that country.
True.
Don't forget that. Don't mistake it.
That's why I said
don't mistake the money. Don't mistake the money circulating It might not get to everybody, you understand? Don't mistake the fact that, this country itself, it's rich. But of course, we have our challenges, we all know our challenges and all that, you understand? But, so you are in, that's a friend of mine, she was relocating back from UK, and she called and she was crying, she tried to stay in the UK, the new migration laws and all that's affecting her, I don't want to come back to that country. And I said, I said, come. I know you very well. You have like 5 to 6 years banking experience before you left. So if you come back, you can pick it up from there. You understand? I said, you're not coming back to Somalia. You're not coming back to, as I told her, you're not coming back to Congo, DRC, all these countries that are, war infested and all that. I said, you're coming back to Nigeria, the richest country in Africa. So look on the brighter side.
Right.
So let's not forget that as well.
Okay. I agree with you 100%. But where I will throw a wrench into what you said is two things. So you said something about religion. I don't want to go there too, because that's not the topic today. But you said something that you said the religion, because Nigeria is so religious, that's why you think
People are confident.
the mental health thing we're talking about is not going to be obvious. I'll take it. That's what I heard.
That's what?
That's what I heard
Exactly
from
what
what you said.
Yeah.
Where I throw a wrench into it is where, when we say mental health, we're not talking about mental health, but I want to clarify something. It is highly stigmatized in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So when we use it in this context, we have to be clear on what we mean. Because there's different levels to it. And it shouldn't be as stigmatized as it is in Nigeria. Because a problem is a problem. You can attach whatever you want to call it, mental, financial, anything you want to attach to it is a problem, right? We stigmatize one part of it, and we're trying to cover it here. There's a lot of problem that people have mentally, let's put it like that. Let's not say mental health. People have, and which is the same thing, but because if you term it that way, it's stigmatized. But let's let it out the way it's supposed to be, what it is actually. There's a lot of problems that the state of the country can affect anyone's mental state in the country. It is happening, it is there, but we stigmatize it too much that we hide it. And then we want to talk about it in a way that it's just to quote it, sugarcoat it, cover it up. I'll argue with you that it's religion that is making us be hopeful. No, it's doing a lot of damage, because I can't imagine when you go to church and then the pastor tells you tomorrow somebody's going to knock on your door and give you money.
Money you didn't work for.
Like how we know spiritually things can happen, there are miracles, all of that. But if everybody, you're talking to a congregation like that, who doesn't want to claim that somebody's going to knock on his door tomorrow to give them money? Everybody in the congregation feels it is them that somebody will come and knock on the door. It can happen. Let's say it even happens to 1 or 2 people in the congregation. That's an outlier. That is whatever you want to tell me if you're religious and say that's the blessing of God to that person that time. But I'm telling you, it's not going to happen to everybody in the congregation. But the belief is that that's what's going to happen. Why not tell the person the truth? That faith without work is dead. That should be the background of your preaching, of anything you're preaching. You laugh. I had working person. If somebody comes to tell you that tomorrow you pick 2 million on the floor, will you believe that? Even you as a hardworking person that knows that you show up every day, you can't even believe that you will pick 2 million.
Not to talk of someone who's nuts.
But someone who is very ignorant, that doesn't even understand that they are wasting their life and they have to be useful to themselves. Then you think someone will knock on your door. Please wait. I don't know when that will come, but it destroys everything. Okay? So a rich country is a rich country, but what is the mindset of the people in the country? Can they work to explore the wealth of the country, to make the country be where it should be, to help the country to. We don't have that mindset. We just believe it should be given. The Bible also says, ask and it is given, but it's still the same Bible that says the faith without work is dead.
Is that, yeah?
But when you are asking, and you're asking with intention, and you're asking because you have the information, but you have a deficit in the information and you want to add to it, which means you're doing the work.
Yeah.
Then it works out. It's reasonable. So it is there. The mental issues are there, but are hidden. And we can quote it. Okay, well, scientists. Okay, let me even go deeper. It's been studied in the United Kingdom that in the people in the world that has a certain kind of DNA that depicts the highest level of happiness is Nigeria. In the whole world, that DNA, what we have in the DNA was termed as, the body natural production of a substance like cannabis. So we're hyper vibrant and happy people naturally. So don't tell me it's religion. That's normal. That's scientifically proven in our DNA strain. In the whole world, we're at the top there. Before the next person to us, I forgot the country, is even very far. The next person on the list is very far from what we are. I look at data, and that's what I believe in more. So we're just like that normally.
Honestly,
We're like that we're happy, we can suffer and smile, all of that. But religion is throwing a wrench into how we should be thinking, how our minds should work. And that's a problem.
if you remove that belief system, they are going to see, I've been hugging this, I've had this position for a long time. And I'm like, you won't understand what I'm saying until, just tell this man to stop preaching for 1 year or 2 years. and you will not see what it will do to the minds of people. You understand? And see, personally, I don't touch it here, but I have my own belief system about Nigeria, you understand, and what it will take for Nigeria to actually break through. You understand? But I don't touch it, it's quite sensitive. But then I said because I'm looking at this younger generation, the impact of social media right now, many of us picked up jobs. Many of us don't see, on the average right now, you can't interview for 7 people, 8 people. You have just 3 people showing up. You're already, you're 5. So the impact of social media is there. Yeah. And it's projecting this image that you don't have to work that hard for you to live some kind of life. Our growing days, it wasn't there. I can't imagine being invited for interview and I won't show up. I did that job, and all that. So that is also affecting the mindset of people. It's rubbing off, it's impacting on their mindsets. And because of that, I always say this, I say, come, I look at the younger generations, the kind of choices they make, I'm literally scared. Quick to make choices. Any small thing, they're trade their resignation. I'm not doing it again, I don't like the vibe here. And I tell you, you're resigning because you don't like your manager. Your manager was employed as well, I can sack your manager tomorrow. So what happens to you? You've lost your job already. I just find out, but that's the reality on the ground right now. Right. People are making quick, permanent decisions based on temporary situations, and which is it's not rational, So, and you look at it and I'm like, I just look into your future. I used to tell my friend, I'm like, I whisper to my friend, these guys are playing with poverty. That's what I tell my friends, and we all laugh, you understand? And all that, because there's nothing solid for you to hold on to. Many of us back home, my days in business, when I plunge into business, if business has come bad for me and all that, I have my experience in banking, I can fall back to it. I just dust my experience, and I'll get a job. I'll get a job because I have years of experience in sales and in banking world and all that. I will. But what do you have to go back to? You come out, So the point I'm trying to make is, while I agree with you that naturally, see, of course, if you're well traveled in the African countries, you will see it clearly that Nigerians have a unique brain.
Right.
You will know that something different about Nigerians. If you're well traveled within the African continent, you come to other continents and see the way they think, the way they, you will know that when it comes to Nigerians, there's something God deposited in us that makes us different. I'm telling you, me.
Right.
You know, you can't take that away from us. So I agree with you on that. I'm not gonna, Nigerians are self-motivated.
Yes.
If you hear the stories of, young men coming up, how they, their father gave them nothing and they made it out of nothing, and all that. So that's there. We can't take that out. But trust me, you're not saying it, you need to see. Go and look at data. Ask the numbers of people that are flooding into these churches and a mosque, and what makes them go in there is that belief system. There's a belief system. There's something. You understand? It's going to change. Something better is coming. Right. If you with the frustration right now back home, with the level of inflation back home, you take that away from an average Nigerian, bro.
I think you're both. I think both of you are right, and I'll say this because I can see the point you're both making, and you're right, because Nigerians are highly religious. We're very religious people. There's hope. A man without hope is a dead man.
Thank you.
Essentially, right? And that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Without hope, it will be complete anarchy in Nigeria. It will be chaos all over.
It will.
I mean, it will be all over the place. But like you said, religion is also one of the reasons why Nigerians are struggling, because we're all based on hope, and like, oh, God will do it, God will do it, God will do it, God will do it, and it sounds cool. You're a hardworking person. You're not waiting for God to do it. Let me do my part today,
Right, of course,
so that God can bless my hands tomorrow. And that is the problem. And like you said, that issue with the younger generation, it's everywhere. Even here in the U.S., they've coined a term for it now. They'll just walk in, my boss looked at me funny, and that's it, I'm gone. Fortunately, in America, they have a system. They have a credit system. Maybe your parents can buy you stuff and pay your bills for a few months to get back on your feet. In Nigeria, it may not be the same. For the vast majority, you don't have the same system. So when such behaviors are picked up in a country like Nigeria, the damage lasts a lot longer. Because we're in a place where you're like, the inflation shouldn't be this high. There should be, it should be easy to get jobs. And so when you think about all these things, I think there's a huge, this is something you said earlier, there's a huge mental health. Because mental health is, we're not talking about people that should be in straitjacket, locked up in a psych ward.
Right.
We're talking about your stress level, how you're thinking, how you see the world, how you engage with the world. And I think there's a huge mental health issue in Nigeria that people don't talk about, because when you say in the Yoruba word, weary, a madman, and that's what we think mental health is. You have to be so psychotic and so crazy that we're like, this person is mad. But we can't think about mental health like that. We have to understand that there's a lot more to mental health. There's, like you said, there's levels to this madness, right? Some people are just chronically stressed. They're just depressed.
Right.
You're depressed for 2 months, business picks up again, all is well. And then there are people that you're like, in rags. We're not even calling them homeless. These people have lost it. They've snapped. They're never returning back to being normal. Okay. I saw that as a kid, right? So I think religion has helped significantly, but at the same time, we're now using religion as a crutch and as a mask, to the point that God will do it. Yeah, possibly. But are you waiting for God to do it in 50 years, or can you get it done in 2 years? Right? And that's part of the concern that I have for Nigeria, because like you said, I've lived in other African countries, and I've been around people from all over the world. Nigerians are just different. Nigerians are wired differently, I could almost go to a bar anywhere in the world. And when we joke around, and I've actually heard of people that are not even Nigerians say this. If I go to a place and there are no Nigerians, I'm leaving that place. That is a place no one should leave. Nigerians are gifted, we're wired differently. And I don't have the science behind it, but all you have to do is talk to people from different parts of the world that have been around Nigerians, and they'll tell you, those people are just different. Nigerians are different, and it's a good thing. But are we different because we've been through so much as a people that we've evolved? We were forced to evolve into something else, right? Because that could have been, I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying this out loud. Now, I'd like the viewers to chime in, and I think this would be so cool to read comments and say, back in my dad grew up and friends with people like Wale Soyinka and all these things, and these people were cool. That was when the cultism stuff started, which was a fun thing, right? And then they'll talk about being Nigerians and traveling the world, and people are like, oh, you're Nigerian and you're cool, right? Everywhere you go, or everywhere they went, that generation, right, and people older than them, being Nigerian was such a cool thing because you came from a place that people are like, there's oil money. Just they kind of look like at us the way we look at people from Dubai. Like these people come from money, right? And then you talk to people like our parents that either they enjoyed that life or that was just the generation before theirs, to now where it's like, you're Nigerian, people are like, oh, thanks to Afrobeat, Nigeria's back on the map again for something positive. But religion it's a double-edged sword that has helped Nigerians, but also stunted how Nigerians, what we could have done to improve the country. And I think, overall, Nigerians need to figure out what works best for us as a nation. We have way too many resources. We have way too many. Nigeria exports brains, like minds. Exactly. We are one of the big exporters of minds, right? You go to any big universities, a Nigerian professor that is a doctor. There's a doctor that took a baby out of the mother's womb,
put it back,
removed the cancer cell and put the baby back. There's one that did a brain transplant or some crazy stuff. You're just like, and you see the brilliance of Nigerians outside of Nigeria. Why can't we now say, with all this brilliance and all these things we have to offer the world, why can't we just go back and fix what's broken? Because we're doing things that are way more difficult outside than we're doing with what's inside.
Right. Yeah. So I agree. And I will just give an example to what I said about the mental health thing, although that's not the center of the topic here. But when I said there's levels to it, and this is what I mean. So I was talking to a friend, you know him, but so he was saying something. He was saying this. He has a friend that, like, he knows the guy. The guy earns more than him, but the guy is always asking for money from him. Wait, listen. I'll give you the example. So he said, but the issue is that when this happens, so he's earning more than him, and when he gets his pay, he'll go and buy a Rolex.
Go and buy what?
A Rolex.
A Rolex, okay, oh wow.
A Rolex wristwatch. He'll buy these new shoes. He'll buy this new apparel. Whatever it is he buys. And he has the habit of wanting to go and show it off when he buys it. So he will call this, my friend I'm talking about, after buying all of this with his pay from work, and ask him for money to go and show it off. So he wants to go to the club, but you're asking me, you earn more than me, to give you money to go and spend and show off what you just bought with your salary at the club. I said, he always does this. I said, that's a problem. Yes, that's a big problem, and it's mental too, Because why are you spending your money on Rolex? You don't have money to go and show it off. You have to borrow money to go and show it off. That's a big problem. If someone comes to you with that kind of issue, what will you tell me that person has? It's mental. Because he's stuck somewhere in his head thinking that I can spend all my money and not have money to pay rent, but I will ask somebody to pay it for me or pay to go and show off what I've got. That's a problem. So there's stages to different issues that can happen to people mentally, but it could be hidden. But when you see that guy who borrowed the person the money to go and show off his goods at the club, you see both of them the way they dress, you wouldn't know that that person gave that person the money to buy the drink that he's popping and sharing for other people. That's a big problem.
Yeah.
You may not see it as a problem, but it's a big problem. Because where is that guy going to? Like, if the other guy is not there to give you money for your essentials, like your necessities, you're going to go homeless one day. And what are you going to blame that on? That's you. Whatever you want to talk about, that's your issue. It's mental. It's in your head. So you see how I've brought this to the understanding of people that mental health issues are not just when you're going mad on the streets and they have to put you together and take you to a psychiatric ward. We stigmatize it as being that, but it's deeper than that. That's what I was going to clarify. Yeah. So I also argue about the religion thing. Religion has been helpful to the extent to which it was. I would say not is, was. Because I was brought up a Christian. I'm not going to say the denomination or where specifically. But what I was taught is different from the teachings of churches in general. So I was never taught prosperity in church. I was taught faith without work is dead. You gotta work before God blesses you. Well, you already have the blessing. Align to get it. And what do you do by aligning? It's not only prayer. Prayer is asking. How do you receive it? People don't know how to receive. And receiving is not sitting down and waiting for it to come on you. You have to do the work and make the connections and ask for the right questions. Be in the right rooms. Be in the right people. Bad association spoils useful habits. Put your eyes on the prize. These are all biblical. But how is it that there's a religion in general and then there's Christianity? There are some Christians who are receiving the word differently from the other people. Why? So I would say before Christianity was brought into Nigeria, there were traditional ways of giving reverence to God. I don't know what you want to call it. Like, if you can call it any way, it was still God they were trying to appease with whatever way they were doing it. There were not thieves, or like you said, let all the pastors stop preaching and see what will happen. No, before religion came, it wasn't chaotic. Before Christianity came there, it wasn't chaotic.
We were referred to as pagans, right?
Oh yeah, but there was more sanity than it is now that it has come. So to whatever extent you believe it helped, it has done it. Now it's upside down because of the message. The message is tainted. The message is tainted. We can all agree on that.
Yeah, of course we can.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying here. We need to go to the nitty-gritty of it to correct it. Because if we start saying, let pastor stop preaching and people, let what will happen, let's see. Right? Let's see if it's going to be for the better or the worse. We can only assume that it's going to be for the worse. But before it came, it wasn't like that. I'm telling you that my father's generation enjoyed Nigeria better than us.
So, Anas, let me...
So who are you? Are you going to blame it Are you going to say it's religion that made it that way?
Let me quickly point your attention to something. What was the level of civilization at that time?
That's a very different thing.
I'll say. Let me tell you, if you and I, many of us have a lot of, we are so opinionated about many things, you understand? That's what civilization afforded us, you understand? Because there's a world of internet, you understand? There is plane you can fly and land in the US like many of you did. So let's picture for a moment. We all grew up in the village. The world was never civilized, you understand? And we all still, you will not know more than your society, more than that place.
True.
You know, so now, the impact of that is, even the world mental health and all that, we picked it, you understand? Because we are exposed globally, you understand? The world is a global village, like I said. You understand the beauty of information and all that, you understand? You can research, you can read this, you can read that, you're watching TV, you're watching internet, that's civilization. And the impact of civilization is, you know, we are, whether we like it or not, we are adopting cultures from different parts of the world into what we originally have. You know, we are all black here, look at your skin. So if you say, hey, let's remove civilization from the world and all that, we'll be back home. We'll be back in the village, that's what we know. Nobody flies to the US, you don't know jack about, hey, they're talking this, they're talking mental, it's everything be down, you understand? And all that. Now, do I agree with you that the churches are also, you say the two-edged sword, you understand? They're also misleading. Fantastic. Yes, of course I do, you understand? What I always say is, this is my position. I said, I'm a Christian, you know, I'm spirit-filled Christian. I worship God, I'm very, very deep on my walk with God, very, very deep. And I said this, I was telling a friend sometimes, I say, the issue of tithe, when you were arguing that tithe thing, the issue of tithing, I said, come, if I come to your church and you preach and I carry tithe and I give to you, I didn't give to you, I give to God. Whatever I do with it, I don't care, I don't want to know. If you like, go and sleep with the woman with it is left for you and God, you understand? When you close your eyes, you will meet him and he will say, oh yeah, Mr. Patrick came and give you money and you took it somewhere else. But God knows I gave it to him. Are you with me? I didn't see you on the street and say, hey, come here, take money. No. I came because I heard messages from you and all that, and I was moved, and I gave it. And I said, that's my take about that argument. I can drop tithe anyway. I'm not looking at what the church, it's not my business what you do with it.
Okay, sorry for interjecting. Can you say you help the pastor and not God? Please, let's be different.
Can I say I help the pastor?
Yeah, not God. And it's good to help the pastor if you want to help the pastor.
No, it's a different thing if I'm helping the pastor. I can give the pastor money.
What he's saying
do you understand?
Is giving is
if I
tithes to the church, not to the pastor, what the church decides to do with it according to his faith is none of his concern.
I heard that right. I heard that right. But I'm not saying this is your own experience or this is your own. With this example, this is what I'm saying. So if you don't care what the pastor does with it, you were appreciative of his words, like of the Bible that he yes, to you, and you felt moved to drop the tithe in the church. Yes, I can understand where to you in your heart is for God. You've done that for, right? But are you an enabler when you know that this pastor is not really doing the right thing, or that this pastor is going to use this money for something else?
No, let me ask you a question.
Are you an enabler?
No, I don't. No.
Assuming, that's what I'm saying. That's why I said, assuming, like, if you know this is it, because we have to understand that these pastors are human beings too, and they're men. The blood flows through them. You can tell me, oh, you feel they're anointed or whatever you want to classify them as, but the thing here is, we're all humans, and what is the basis of Christianity? Is to follow Jesus Christ, right? Jesus Christ, right? If I come to you and tell you, like what I said yesterday, just right now earlier, that I'm a pastor, and I tell you tomorrow you're gonna have a promotion, you're gonna have money, somebody's gonna gift you funds. You see? If I tell you that all the time, and I keep telling you that, and Jesus Christ is the basis of Christianity. That's what, like, if you're a Christian, you're a follower of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ had a job. don't tell me about civilization or when. If you have to follow him and emulate him, then you have to do what he did. He had a job, he was a carpenter, right? And when he was healing, he healed people on the street and said, go and tell no one. He wasn't like, go and put my face in the billboard.
Whether you're Christian, you're Muslim, it doesn't really matter. It's, at the end of the day, it's what you think. If you think what you're doing is helping out, keep doing it, right? If you give money to somebody on the street, a homeless person on the street, and that makes you feel good, then you've done right.
Yeah.
There are Christians that don't always fight in church, but they'll go out and give.
Outreach.
Yeah.
Missionary
Right, your
work.
mission work.
Yeah.
They're still doing
Those are
God's
good.
work.
You're fantastic.
They're still doing
That
God's
is-
work.
I agree. Yes.
Yes.
So it doesn't
I
really
agree.
matter how you do it. If it feels right to you, let's forget Christianity. Let's forget being religious at all. What would this world look like if people took care of their neighbors? That's it. That's all
That's
what we're doing.
That's it.
And
That's what we need.
that's more of what we need is people helping people out. You talk about when you see younger generation and they get into business and they're not listening. The reason why it kind of bothers you is like you're like, I have experience in this field. What took me 10 years to learn, I could teach you in 2 hours or less.
Fantastic.
Right? And that is the thing, and I think you mentioned social media, the effect of social media. We didn't really have social media like that when we were growing up.
Yeah.
We're now learning the dangers of social media as we're building it out. We're building the plane as we fly. And social media it's turned this world into a much more smaller world. But you said something earlier, and I'm just going to touch on it as I'm wrapping up. It's not that our ancestors or forefathers or our great-grandparents, they didn't have issues because they were not part of the world. Comparison is a thief of joy. What social media has done well is it's allowed you to compare yourself to somebody else that you have no business comparing your lives to. I cannot compare myself to Dangote no matter how much I want to. Is the richest black man in the world.
And in
right?
most cases, those you are comparing yourself to are living fake lives.
Oftentimes they're not living
Exactly, on social media.
they're not living the life they're portraying.
Yeah.
And let's even assume if Dangote shows up and we see Dangote buying a Bentley and it burns it right there, can he afford it? Yeah.
Of course.
Can I do the same?
Just buy it just to burn it. Yeah.
Right. He can do whatever he wants. If I'm comparing myself, if a lion takes the opinion of a sheep, it will never feel like a lion. When you start comparing yourself to people you have absolutely no business comparing yourself to, misery will surely follow. And where there's misery, there is suffering. Right? And that is the problem. And I don't know, and I think, and I'm taking this back, I'm going to tie this back to the original topic. When in a place like Nigeria where there's inflation is all-time high, and there's no middle class, you're either rich or you're struggling. When you're driving around, and you said something, and I agree with it 100%, like, well, when you're in a certain position up there, you can't relate. No, Nigeria is different, and we see this in Brazil too, where the people living in the slums in Brazil, and yet the people doing well. It's in South Africa. You go to Sandton, in some places in Joburg, even Durban in South Africa, and there's a nice area. People are driving Lamborghinis, Ferrari, and then you go 2 miles, and they're shacks. What do you think is happening to the people that see that? Because you may not notice them that much, but they see you. And as we all know, this population of people that are successful is small compared to the people suffering. So when we start thinking about mental health as suffering and stress, we start realizing that the high inflation must be directly proportional to the stress level people are experiencing, because you're like, why can't I do it? And let's
No.
The
You're
idea.
looking at it from the lower class looking upwards. I'm talking
No,
about
if
upper class now. If just when
you've been to Nigeria.
when you travel to different countries,
It's born there.
especially as an American.
We've been there.
No, as in you.
People, they tend to tell you that these are the green areas or the green zones, yellow zones, red zones. Now, people living in the green zone or whatever it's called, which is supposed to be safe and all that, they really don't know what they can. They may have an idea, but they don't.
They're not experiencing it.
That's where I was. That's where I was.
But they
coming
know
from.
what it's like, because the suffering is around you.
No, they know what it's like, but they don't feel it.
It's not the
There's a
daily.
difference.
Yeah, it's not in the
It's for you
daily.
to know that these people are they are living in the ghetto. But if you have not lived in the ghetto, you don't know how they are daily feeding. You don't know their day-to-day activities and everything.
Experiences.
So that's where I was coming from.
I get what you're saying.
So now, because we are already running out of time, my final question, is strictly directed to you. What's your opinion about people in the diaspora taking business back home? And how do you think they can actually help? That is, because I'm not talking about Black Americans or this. Now, like us Nigerians now, thinking about starting a business back home. While I was working, I worked in the oil field for a while. I was talking to a guy, and I just got to the US, so I was like, I had this mindset of, let me just make a little bit of money, and I'll start buying cars and selling it to Nigeria. Then the guy told me that, he sat me down. I was like, why are you having this mindset of going to invest back home? I felt that was a stupid question. But when he explained, he said, let's take for instance, you buy a car here. A car, let's say, whatever condition the car is, let's say you spent 5,000 to buy the car. You spent an additional 2,000 for all the expenses and shipping to Nigeria. Now, when you convert, because you are not selling the car in Nigeria in dollars, you're selling it in Naira. Now, you don't know how long that car will stay in the lot in Nigeria before it gets sold. And all this while, you are paying expenses for the lot fee, whatever, parking fees, this fee, security and all that. Now, what if you created that business here in the US and made your sales here, you can actually see your funds, your profits or revenue. But back in Nigeria, you have somebody managing the business and all that. Now, from your opinion, I know it differs depending on the kind of business. What do you think? How do you look at this whole scenario? Like, do you think it's wise to do that? I'm not talking about expanding your business now. I'm talking about starting it in Nigeria while you're based here.
That's a good question, very good question. So generally, what I advise my friends when I travel, I always say something to them. I said, no matter how far away you traveled, don't take your mind away from home. That's a lot of money to be made back home.
Or know your road back.
Just
know your way back.
Know your way back home. That's a lot. I always say that. That's a lot of. And that's why we thank God for internet today. You can also read and catch up. You understand? The kind of returns, the financial markets back home in Nigeria, the kind of returns it's going to give to you, you can't get it here. You literally can't get it anywhere in the world. You'll struggle.
ROI.
The kind of returns if you invest in the financial market, you understand? Equities, stocks, or whatever it is, you get, that's one. But then,
I'm sorry, I don't know why. It's because we have it for a short time, so I have to get everything out at once. And so even the rates, the rates, not just the volume of the return.
Exactly.
The rate is fast.
The
rate of return.
The rate of return, exactly.
Is even fast.
Thank
not
you.
even just
the time frame and all that, the tenor and all of that. So now, what boils down to when it boils down to establishing business in Nigeria, that's where there's a fundamental challenge. I've always said this. I said, when people come out, oh, Nigerians are this, Nigerians are criminals, Nigerians are there. I always correct them. I say, no. And this is what I say. I said, blame it on the system, blame it on the leaders, and blame it on the system. What's the difference between Nigeria and a functional economy like this, or like the Dubai's and the Western world? The difference is they have a functioning system whereby you commit an offense, the system will take you out and put you where you belong.
Yeah.
Remove you from sane people thinking very fast. So the speed at which you remove people that steal and all that, if you can get that in Nigeria will be a better place.
So institutions.
Institutions and all that. So they call it correctional facilities. They will take you there to go and correct something. Something is not okay with the way you're thinking. They need to go and stay there for 2 years, 3 years. But back home, what do we see? Somebody steal from you. You lock them up. Their mother is calling you. Their father is calling. Everybody is calling you. Please forgive him. Are you forgive him? So many of us are recycling bad behavior back home. You steal from me, I forgive. 2 years later, I come and steal from you. And you're my friend. 3 years later, I steal from my uncle. The same. But if you have a functional system where you take people out and you put them where they truly belong after they do all these things, that's the difference. So I don't believe it's Nigerians. I just believe it's a system. We don't have a functional system, back home. So it boils down to what I'm saying. The truth is, you and I, we have a lot of work to do back home. There's nothing wrong. So you cannot invest, in as much as the returns are good, if you invest back home and the starting phase of your business, you're not there to guide your investment, to monitor, to put structures in place. Right. It takes a while to build yourself to the point where you can leave your business and for away from having another room for a while. You can put structures in place and all that. That doesn't mean people will not steal and all that. You understand? But what I always say is, just project a particular percentage from your margin for theft. You understand? Right. Your projections. You understand? Not shouldn't more than this particular number, single digits, 5%, 4%, and all that, because they will. And all of that. So, and that's because of, and that's why I said, that's what I said, owning businesses back home. A friend of mine was there. He said, Patrick, this guy was stealing right in front of me. I was there in the shop every day. I still couldn't see it. You hear stories like that, you'll be like, wow. And especially now, with the advent of social media, with the advent of everybody's on the fast lane back home. Everybody's on the fast lane. Nobody wants to be patient, and they're justifying it. I tell people these days, what I tell them is, forget about someone stealing for you, go to police. The police will ask you, how much is it for you? I beg, go see that. This one is, I'm talking about 50 million, your own is just 10 million, you're allowance rest. You know what I'm saying? And all that. So those are the fundamental challenges back home, ensuring that we have a functional system back home. Let institutions work for what they are, you understand? Right. Especially this part of the, so that's what's projecting us out there. The Nigerians are this, because people just feel they can do things and get away with it, you understand? They call their mother, father to beg you, and you let it go. So aside that, so I tell you, if you want to start a business back home, be sure you have that time. You want to come back, you understand, and monitor business, grow it to a point where you have functional system, functional structures, you understand, policies and all that, and you have trusted individuals, that's the people back home you can train, and all that. So the few you can train, they'll see your vision or align, you understand, they've been with you for a while, and it takes a while. So somebody you've trained for 5-10 years, you understand, you can tell this person now understand what it is, that you can trust this person to a point and all that, and you put them there to oversee your businesses when you're not around. That's just it. Yeah. But is there money to be made back home? A lot of money. A lot.
And I think to wrap it up here is that our problems, they say charity begins at home, right? And when we point fingers at people, we always realize that the most of our fingers are pointing back at us. So we need, as a collective, as Nigerians, to work on ourselves first. We can say and blame the government for all we want, but we're enablers to all of us, because when it's time for elections, some people sell their vote for just a quarter of a bag of rice, and that's going to be done in 5 days, but you have the rest of the 4 years to face the impact.
So do you think from your point of view, do you think that is being an enabler, or that is like pure ignorance?
So I was coming to that. So there has to be a re-education of how people should live as responsible citizens of the society. So there has to be a re-education of that, and that is the problem there. So when I know where you were coming from, that do you say that as people being enabling them because they don't have?
No. I mean,
Okay.
like maybe out of ignorance or pure illiteracy.
Yes, and that's why, because like ignorance, that's why I said I brought the re-education. People need to know what their rights are. People need to know why they're even voting in the first place.
True.
Yeah, but when people don't know this, we can hide under ignorance. We can say, oh, the person was poor and they just needed to eat. Well, you can eat, even the Bible says man must not live by what? Bread alone, right? But a hungry man is a angry man. What you're worried about is how your belly is going to get filled than how your children's life is going to pan out in the next couple of years, or even your life as it is. So those, and I know this was not anything about Christianity or anything. I can only speak to what I know and what I was brought up from. That's why I'm saying it. But if we're talking about religion in general, I don't know a lot about the other religions in Nigeria. I'm just saying from where my own experience has come from. So yeah, I believe that it has helped a great deal, and to the extent to which it has helped before the message switched. Because I cannot say, I'm telling you, even how, I don't want to say I was animated. I was about the topic. I know for a fact that it has helped. And there are some people who channel the messages to what it's supposed to be. You understand? They bring it out as raw as it is from the Bible, and no mixing of words. But the I don't know, the majority, if I would say, right? Because take for an example, I was walking by church when I was in Nigeria. You know how it is, they put the speakers outside, everybody can hear it. It's all like, if it was here, it would be termed as noise pollution. You can't do that. But it's all over Nigeria. Once you land, there's church, like 6 churches in one street. But the pastor said something, and he said that beware of anybody that is called Jacob. Just because of the story of Jacob and Esau in the Bible, who one sold the birthright because of the pot of porridge. And the pastor was saying, beware of anyone who is called Jacob because of that story. That was so annoying to me, because nobody could stand up and correct the pastor, because there are brethren in the congregation that has a child or two that is named Jacob. That's not the way to say something. Like, so now you're telling, beware of this person because of their character. You see what the Bible said. No, that's that. You see, out of context.
Using one size.
But no, there was nobody to challenge the pastor and say, no, that's not right, and all of that. Everybody will accept that. What do you call that? But it shouldn't be like that. That's what I said. There was a former president of Nigeria said the 2 people he fears in this life is the pastor and a referee. If you watch soccer a lot.
A referee.
Yes, the pastor and the referee, because you can't challenge them. When you play soccer, if not that they now have VAR now, before, a soccer referee can determine who wins the game without any challenges from anybody. So that is what I'm talking about here. It is like that because we're going to say, oh, well, it is like this. We have to follow it like that and just let it keep going. But we can also be reasonable ourselves and catch it and say, okay, well, this doesn't seem right. You know, if we are going to follow Jesus Christ, this was not how he did it. If we are going to follow everything, all his steps, this was not how he did it. I know we will say, oh, things has evolved past those times. But if you tell a Christian that you are going to take some part of what Jesus Christ taught you and then throw away the rest, are you a full Christian in that regard? So that's what I was just saying in terms of religion here, and how it ties to what the problem is in Nigeria as well. But yeah, business-wise, you asked my final question. If you were thinking of going to invest back home, what should be the things you should look out for? You understand? I think you already covered that.
Yeah, I did already.
Yeah, so yeah.
So you headed off for the horses from the horse's mouths. These are the professionals in the business world, and I really hope you viewers will be able to like pick one or two points from our discussion today, and we would appreciate it if you like leave comments, concerns, and topic suggestions in general, and we'll be able to like maybe things we can actually touch on, and leave your concerns too, so we can because we always go through the comments, and we always get back to you as promptly as possible. And with that, we call it a day.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys.